Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. We got him. We've been talking about it. My dear brother, Attorney Davis, who was a key leader in passing a reparations bill in the city of Decatur. We're talking about Georgia. Decatur is in the metropolitan area of Atlanta. Attorney, good day, brother. Welcome.
Hey, Doc, how are you? It's good to see you, brother. As always, man, we appreciate your work.
Man, we appreciate you and all that you do, brother. Every time I run into you out here on these streets of Atlanta, man, I know I'm in the right place, whatever that place may be, if you're there. All right. So
Yes,
we're going to talk about this, man, because one, we were told this could never happen. And not only has it happened, it's moving forward. And then we're going to talk about some of the, well, let's just say, ripples that may take place later. So tell us about this bill. How was it passed? How did it even come up?
Sure. So we've been working. The Beacon Hill Black Alliance for Human Rights is a local grassroots organization based in the city of Decatur, which is literally buttressed against the city of Atlanta. And so small city, but very powerful city with a lot of folks in it who just believe in what's right and what's just. And so there was a community, African-American community, like in most of our cities and towns in the city of Decatur, called Beacon Hill. It was originally called the Bottom, but after our ancestors, our enslaved ancestors were liberated, they formed that community, and they were by statute pretty much restricted to live in that community. And as history would have it, over the course of time, the government, the city government, the quote unquote city fathers made it their mission to what they called remove all blight. And what it really meant was get rid of this community of Beacon Hill, which they did through urban renewal projects. And they took the land, eminent domain. And so now there is no longer a community in the city of Decatur called Beacon Hill. We have some signs, some historic markers, but there is no longer a Beacon Hill community. And so this resolution addresses not just our enslaved ancestors who are buried in Section 6 of the city of Decatur cemetery, but it also addresses the redlining and other issues that resulted in the complete displacement of the Black community out of the city of Decatur.
I think it's important to note, because we have discussed on this program reparation light bills, where they are similar, but they're light on the Black part, or exclusively African-American part, or the part that deals with descendants of slaves exclusively. So this bill, however, I see the words Black and African-American in the bill. So talk to us about that.
Absolutely. We were very clear that the injury, the harm that the city was engaged in, as well as private actors in the city, was against Black people, people of African descent, African Americans. And again, we salute City Commissioner Lisa Meyer. She carried the bill. We salute our mayor and commissioners. It was a unanimous vote. It is a vote that will allow us to move forward with this task force, and for us to be able to further explore the harm, to identify ways that we can remedy the harm. And it is very detailed, largely because of the support from Georgia State Africana Studies Department, as well as law school. We had great support from Dr. Akingela Moja, Professor Natsu Saito, who brought their students in to help us do the research to make the case.
Part of the protocol is always education. I think it's remarkable that so many allies came to the table to make this happen, and including those in academia, including our future leaders, future scholars of this nation and beyond. Let's go back a bit, because there are some who are still confused about what reparations means, right? And I want to demystify it, because the truth is, everybody really believes in reparations, because we have done it so many times in America for various groups, continue to do it. But when we talk about reparations for Black people, it becomes this extremely adverse thing. So I want you to explain it so that there's a proper context for what it is we're discussing.
And Dr. Richey, you are so well qualified in that this is a international human rights remedy. This isn't something that
right.
Black folks have concocted up. This is a internationally recognized remedy for redress when a people or peoples have been injured, harmed, have suffered, and there are ways that we seek redress. One is through public acknowledgement. And so one of the big things here in this resolution was that there's an apology made to residents, past and present, African-American, Black residents who have been injured by these policies. The other is one that's often left out, and I think is critical, is non-repetition, right? We're in a political climate right now where we're seeing all kinds of attacks on anything that supports, builds upon Black history, Black people, opportunities. And so part of this work is around non-repetition. Then, of course, everyone is always in an uproar around economic compensation. We are, again, very early in this process. And so we will get our commissioners in place and we'll go through what are all of the different ways people have been injured and how can that redress come from the city of Decatur. People don't realize that we were paying taxes, our ancestors were paying taxes, and they were getting less for their taxes, period. Both in the educational setting, sanitation services, city services, the community didn't even have paved streets. So these are all realities that we seek to address, and that it's time that we not run from that history, but we lean into it, we focus on it, and we do the work of addressing it so that we can move forward. That's the only way to have any kind of solid foundation into the future, is really understanding historically what happened and the disparities that continue to exist.
That's correct. And you are utilizing the proper context, not only to explain it, but to also judge the protocol, because we have to get case studies done. City of Decatur will become a case study for another jurisdiction that says we want to do something, but we need a model. So we got to build a blueprint. So this is the building of the blueprint. You all are securing the model, but the model has truly been discussed, has been agreed upon prior to anyone coming at the table. Individuals like yourself and others have been working in this arena for a long time. Even some of my professorial colleagues from Clark Atlanta University, et cetera, they are in the fight, right? So that's one dynamic. The other is the city of Decatur, right? That is your governing authority. That is the entity, that is the functional government that we are looking at, talking about, and seeking this from. There are some who will say, generally speaking, well, my ancestors did things, but I didn't do them. Why should I have to pay for that? That's what typically you will hear on the other side of the argument from, let's say, a random white individual who may not be bigoted, but they're not an ally. Now, the brothers and sisters who watch this show, both white, Black, brown, et cetera, they get it, all right? But there are those who just authentically don't get it. And I want you to nail that point again. It's not about the person or the ancestor. We're talking about the government did this. The government not only allowed it, they were co-conspirators, and the government has a responsibility legally, ethically, and morally in order to make it right. Explain that point again to us.
Doc, you're right on it in that, let's be clear, the city of Decatur just celebrated its 200th year anniversary since it was incorporated. It wasn't until 1984 that we had our first African-American elected official in the name of Elizabeth Wilson, who still is alive and he really helped us tremendously during this research. And so we went to the records. We could see where the city commissioners, the same body that we went in front of 2 weeks ago, that same body, they had a group of African-American citizens in 1955 come to them and say, listen, we are suffering. You're taking land. You're smashing us into smaller and smaller swaths of land without providing us public service. And this was the Decatur citizens of color committee, and this group of very courageous citizens, some of whom became the DeKalb NAACP, which was founded in 1955. These folks are the ones, our predecessors, who fought, who demanded, who said, you know, we're being mistreated. And this government turned a blind eye to it. And not only did they turn a blind eye, they conspired with the federal government to bring in the funding, what's called urban renewal, to push the Black community out to build up both the high school as well as the current DeKalb County Justice Center, where the very place that we call the Justice Center is where citizens of Beacon Hill used to live. They removed, so the irony of having a Justice Center be the responsible for the removal of Black citizens is just something that we have to grapple with as a community.
Very well said. And for those who will see this, and for those who are watching now, you may hear people say, well, racism hurts the individuals that the bigotry is aimed at, and that's true. However, inequity hurts everybody, because inequity creates such division of economic opportunity, educational resources, et cetera, et cetera. And when that happens, that brings the dysfunction. Whatever dysfunction you are experiencing, 80 to 90% of it is connected to an inequitable dynamic. And until we address that part, we will live in this constant state of electing, not selecting, but electing individuals who truly at their core could give no care about your actual life. All right? Attorney, for those who are watching, man, there are a lot of officials who watch this program, and I'm sure some of them are saying, how can we get something like this at least started? What would you say?
It's happening all over the country. There is a movement. We have gone to conferences held. First Repair, Robin Ruth Simmons, our very courageous sister from Evanston, Illinois. I'm originally from Chicago, that sister. But there's a long history of our organizing. I first really became involved in the reparations movement in Cobra back in 1998 when I came to law school, Georgia State College of Law. We had early reparations symposiums, and it just has not stopped. It is something that once the ancestors get a hold of you and keep yelling in your ear and in your spirit and saying, fight on. Make sure that they remember, make sure that we are lifted up, make sure that you never forget what happened to our communities. The work is not even work. It is an ancestral calling. And so we encourage people to take a look at our resolution. It is based also on an incredible job done by a committee of our organization. They created a people's history of the city of Decatur. And that history lays it out from our perspective, from the perspective of our Muskogee Creek folk who had their land taken. It's something that, again, it's about truth telling. And when we tell the truth, when we're honest with each other, then we can move forward with the building of real relationships that allow us to build community in a way that is sustainable. And I couldn't agree with you more. How many great thinkers and creators and athletes did the city of Decatur essentially exile because their families were pushed out of the city? So you're right on it. When these decisions are made, it not only is a loss for us, people of African descent, everybody loses, because you lose our genius, you lose our creativity, you lose our resiliency. But here we are standing, and the first African that we know in the city, her name was Melinda. And it was in 1826 on the courthouse steps that she was put up for auction. And so we lift up the name of Melinda, and we honor her through this work and the work that will continue to come forward.
Amen to that. In addition to being a great leader and advocate, Attorney Davis is also a great civil rights attorney, a great catastrophic injury attorney. Dear brother, if you would give your information for people who may need your services in the future.
Oh man, thank you, brother. Just Davis Bozeman Law, Davis Bozeman Johnson across the state, office here in Decatur, office in Statesboro, Georgia, with Francis Johnson and in Savannah. And so we just came off of a trial literally today that we won for our client, and we're grateful to be able to serve the people. What a blessing. I think you and I are some of the most blessed people in the world to be able to serve our people in a way and give voice to those that have historically been held silent. But they have so many stories that are yet to be told. So we thank you for continuing to allow our stories to be told to all the brothers and sisters who listen and learn from you each and every day, brother. Thank you.
Well, thank you, brother. Iron sharpens iron, as they say. We appreciate your leadership always. Until next time, and once again, congratulations. All right, we'll talk more about it when the next opportunity comes for the next phase of the program. Thank you for what you did.
Indeed.